Hello malt mates, hello rumsters, I'm Ralphie, welcome to the Whisky Bothy, where as part of the midsummer season of reviews, I'm going to be sharing my third and final rum review of the 2025 season with you. I'm not quite finished yet. I have another video to load, in which I will be going out with a bit of a bang on my rum reviews. So look out for that. It'll be coming along shortly. In the meantime, something that a whisky reviewer tends to do is stick to whisky reviews, because whisky drinkers want to know more about whisky. However, this is important. The reason for Ralphie Review 1091, which this video is that I'm suggesting you spread your wings and look at alternatives. For a very simple reason, it helps you avoid a jaded palate from overexposure and institutionalization into whisky. There comes a point when we're drinking too regularly of too much variety of Scotch whisky that we start to kind of lose the distinctive definition, and they slightly homogenise in our memory banks. And a way to deal with this, apart from taking time off drinking whisky, is to actually look for alternatives. Now, I'm not alone in this. Another famous alternative person is Serge from whiskyfun.com, which is a site I highly recommend to you, in which there is an infinitesimal amount of high quality, highly specific rum reviews, many of which you're never going to encounter in your journey, because whisky comes and whisky goes, and so does rum. Rum in its own way, with its complete geographical diversity, its global nature, there's such a lot of variety in rum, and much of it is overlooked by the whisky drinker, who tends to relegate rum to an occasional cocktail, a mojito or a dark and stormy or whatever. Take your pick, there's plenty to pick from. And it gets worse, actually. I'm going to pour a glass and tell you. Because whilst rum drinkers will accept and will consider a cask matured rum because of the familiarity of the experience, white rums, it's different. Now, white rums don't have cask influence most of the time. Sure, there's an opportunity where a rum can be matured in a cask and then filtered to remove the colour provided by the cask. That does happen. It's happened in Scotch whisky, by the way, with J&B -6. That's a blend brand. But when I was at the rum show in London, there was 300 options of rum to try, generally sipping rum. And this is the one that really stood out for me. It's Martinique Cam Blue Rhum Agricole. Right. It's from the island of Martinique in the Caribbean. It is made in the French style, which means agricole, in other words, sugarcane juice. This rum has been made in a column still, not a pot still. And what's unique about this, and very interesting, and a sign of things to come, which is why I'm reviewing it and recommending it to you, is that it is made from a single variety of sugarcane. Single variety. It's not like a corporation which is collecting and harvesting from different sugarcane growing regions like Brazil and Florida and the USA and Mexico, and then bringing it together. What's cheapest? What's going to give the highest alcohol yield? The fact is, there's thousands of varieties of sugarcane. Now, many of them are just marginally different, but some are distinctly different. And blue cane, which is a feature of Martinique in the Caribbean, is a very good example of the uniqueness of ingredient that delivers through a rested, not a matured. This has been rested in stainless steel vats And over time, it's been gradually brought down from high strength to bottling strength of 50%. When you nose it, it's slightly sweet and glucosey on the nose. And there doesn't seem to be much going on initially. It seems very soft. You wouldn't believe that this is bottled at 50% volume. And then you bring your nose back into it again, your experienced whiskey drinker's nose. Then you notice there's something slightly mezcal about it, something slightly cachaça, which is a Brazilian spirit similar to rum, but specifically terroir different. Right. Mezcal, of course, is made from baked agave. Right. I knew I'd remember at some point. Baked agave. There's a lovely, almost a lemonade note initially, and you're thinking, well, that's all very nice, it's all very pleasant, but where's the sophistication? Where's the action? You'll find that in the first sip. Big, powerful eau de vie arrival. It tastes remarkably like another spirit which is native to Italy, and that's grappa. Underrated, overlooked, a lot of vegetal complexity. Now we're getting savoury notes here. I've not added any water yet. There's time enough for that. Savoury notes, sage, thyme, slight coriander in the background. There's a lime rind note as well. It's clean, it's fresh, it doesn't hang about very long. It tends to be with you and then it goes because it doesn't have the benefit of sustained cask maturation. I'm going to add some water now. I'm going to add 2 spoons, which this will comfortably take. That's 10 millilitres, 2 teaspoons of water. As soon as we do this, it starts to open up. Initially, it's slightly suppressed, right? But then it starts to open up. Once it kind of starts to absorb the water into the spirit, the alcohol complexity from the flavour, pure complex flavour of new make rum spirit that's simply been rested, it starts to come through. And it's fascinating. It is a very understated experience. Therefore, you've really got to go searching for the complexity, but you will find it. It's in there, and I must say, I'm delighted with this because it's giving me a genuinely palate-refreshing change from whiskies. Now, you may say, hey, Ralphie, why don't you just buy some new make Scotch whisky? And here's a good example here from Lindores Abbey, new make spirit, bottled at 63.5%, which is basically straight off the still. And when you nose the Scottish new make spirit, it's interesting. It's certainly more, the cereal's more prominent, but the yeast is more prominent. It's more delicate. It's more restrained. This, you can clearly see, needs cask influence. It's designed for cask influence. This, the Cam Bleu from Martinique, is not. It's not dependent on any casks. Now, this gives the producers an advantage because when you put your spirit into casks, it doesn't matter how good your spirit is. See, if the casks aren't so good, you're going to get bad results. Whereas if you're making good spirit, the way you retain the quality and the integrity of that is by doing away with the necessity of the cask. I've given it a few minutes with the water in it. Let's go again. The nose, there's a Again, this is a kind of slightly agave note on the nose, although it's a cane spirit, not an agave spirit. But it's what it reminds me of. There's a slight linseed oil note. There's a real intense softness. The quality of the spirit is simply superb, by the way. This is a very, very well-made rum, and I commend Clément. I commend the producers at the distillery in Martinique for what they have produced here. It's truly world-class, stands on its own in terms of quality. Anyone who knows anything about spirits is going to spot that immediately. So let's go on to the taste here. We've added 2 teaspoonfuls of water. Where are we going to go with this? Much fuller, intense mouth arrival. It's gentle, but it's determined and quite assertive. There's a slight jalapeno note in it. Then you really notice something unusual. It's saline, it's marine, it's seashores. There's no sense of iodine in this, but there is a sense of sea air after a storm. You know that ozone-rich super freshness you get? You're getting this here. And there is no way, I assure you, no way that these flavours are ever going to be found in a Scottish single malt whisky. It's not going to happen. This is a completely different creature. And engaging with this or something similar, you're going to get that dynamic association which will improve your palate, help you recalibrate your palate, refresh your palate, and just give you a change. We all need a change now and again. It's why we go on holiday or take a day trip into the local city now and again to visit a museum and have afternoon teas and coffees. We need a change. So I do recommend this to you. I'll give you the mark shortly after I've had another sip and give you some extra descriptors. The warmth, the intensity, almost lemon meringue pie note. The saline notes becoming more intense. It's pepperminty. It's got beautiful rich glucose notes from the development towards the finish and a mild green ginger on the finish. A delightful and truly exotic alternative to Scotch whisky. What mark am I going to give it? I'm going to give it a good mark. Absolutely. I'm giving this 83 out of 100. Now, let's put this into perspective. If I was going to give a mark to this new make Lindores, it would probably be about 74, 75. That's as far as it would get. Because this spirit is designed because it's a legal requirement that it goes into a cask to be matured. However, take it from me, if you're at this stage in your whisky journey where you're interested in buying a bottle of new make spirit for contrast and comparison with matured spirit, the same applies to rum. It really does. Do not hold back your ambitions with rum, thinking that it's all inferior to whisky. It's simply not true. It's just not true. I've reviewed some whiskies in this channel. You've probably viewed them and you've seen that I have been almost despondent about the actual practical nuts and bolts quality of some of the spirit that's been made, and certainly some of the casks, which have been tinkered about with until they eventually they do something for the spirit. This is a serious challenge for the future of Scotch whisky. One of the opportunities is for distillers, as things get tough, is to see if they brought in some sugarcane juice, perhaps dehydrated in bags. It's a very practical way of doing it, and actually put some rum through the whisky stills. What would they get? What results would they get? What yeast would they use? How would it change in the fermentation? What would the fermentation taste like? Would they be prepared to bottle it as a beverage, chilled, in a refrigerator, in the distillery shop? Distilleries nowadays have to get more imaginative. And one of the important things, particularly for Scotch whisky industry, which rests on its laurels and tradition far too much for its own good, is that it needs to go out exploring and see how other people do it, and do it well, and say, could I bring this back and do something at home which is going to be similar and potentially just as good? Well, that's the challenge. In the meantime, I hope you've enjoyed this. My extras will be up shortly, number 1091 extras, in which I'll be introducing a few other white rums just for your reference, whether you be a rumster or a whisky drinker, or ideally both. See you soon.